If you are new to our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joey Baird. In the garden again, today we're actually going to plant some things. We got some prep work to do, but we're also going to plant some onions, leeks, potatoes, and I think that's it for today. I think broccoli and cauliflower. So what I have begun to work on is, here is where we once had a bed. No longer, it fell apart. And then right there is where we had a bed, which I have moved because the golden raspberries have begun to migrate that direction. So I'm taking the soil from here, putting in the wheelbarrow, and then the bed that has been moved is here, which is where our two pallet beds once were that served their purpose and no longer are functional because they've just rotted away. That bed there is going to get filled, fertilized, and planted with potatoes. Now these are potatoes in which we have bought from the store and have sprouted, which you can plant. So I'll use them up. I don't believe it will take the whole bed. And then the rest of the bed I will plant broccoli and cauliflower, and that bed will be complete. I will also work that bed there. I do have 4 yacons that I experimented with, rhizomes I planted a month ago that have begun to germinate and sprout. I've got a Brussels sprout from last year that is growing. I'm not certain what to do with that, but we'll get that. And then on the upper end here, if you follow the last 2 episodes of In the Garden here, I've put weed barrier down, and here is where I'm going to plant the leeks and the onions. I have 5 or 6 drip irrigation lines running underneath the black weed barrier here, and I will plant them there. I believe I'm going to have tomatoes up there, beans here, tomatoes here, peppers there, and then peppers scattered throughout the rest of the garden in different areas. So, nice warm day, no wind, and I will get the rest of this bed filled. Now I do have a little berm here, but I'm going to work my way this way in the garden, and I do have a few asparagus growing. Have one there. I've got one in that pipe there. I've got a tall one right here, and I think I got one right back in there. Not producing as good as I'd want them to, but that's what you get. All right, so potatoes to be planted first. I'm just going to take it down to what I think is grade, get all the compost that had been put in here out. If there's weeds, there's weeds. If there's not, there's not. There's not much I can do about it. At this point, I just want to get it transferred over and get those potatoes planted. You want to plant potatoes when the soil is a minimum at root zone, which is about 4 inches down, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, preferably 50 steady, are constant. So. All right, so I've got enough here for 3 broccoli, 3 cauliflower. Started them in party cups, never transplanted them into root maker grow trays, simply because they were started real late and it made no sense to transplant them and then 1 week, and then bring them out the following week. So I have used some of these in the front yard garden. Just going to tip it out a little bit, loosen it up, find 2, 3 really good ones. There's 2 good ones there. Had 1 okay one, that's why I discarded. And then there's plenty left in case do not take, which they should. More of this, a little bit of 464 organic fertilizer in the bottom of each hole here to mix it up a little bit. I'm just going to do all 3. I know these were cauliflower back here. Just want to go about the depth in which it was in the container. It doesn't, you know, it's a plant. It's got some strength to it. It will perk up. You can, if so choose to, you can put protection around these. With what I have laying around, I think I will. I got a couple of those. They're just PVC 4-inch pipe, and I'll use what I have just to add a little more protection there. And the same thing will be done with the broccoli. Okay, so I've got broccoli, cauliflower planted, potatoes planted. That bed is completed. I didn't have enough tubes to go around the broccoli up here on the left side. I did get the irrigation system in. As it gets warm with the sun, it will lay down. In order to fill the rest of the bed up, I took the soil from this bed here, used about half of that. I know there's weeds in it, and that's just like the worst thing you can do is take soil that has weeds. This was a raised bed with compost and put, but that's what we're going to do. That's the way it's going to be. That's life. So I did bury the irrigation system that was looped in this bed. It's buried under the ground all the way to the faucet. So I took and put another leader in there and then brought it up to where the actual drip system is. Thing that you want to keep in mind, if you do have a drip irrigation system, you got a lot of bits and bobs and pieces and connectors and fasteners. Get like a tackle box or one of these, it's a tackle box, but it goes inside of a tackle box type of thing. Don't know the specific name of it, but you can get all of your, you can organize it. They can come in or they can go out. You can make them whatever size you want. I've got a link to this in the description, the one we have. But again, it varies based on what you need, what you want, but it makes everything a lot easier knowing that's where all your irrigation parts and pieces are at, rather than in a bag or a random box in the shed, garage, or basement. All right, now it comes to the portion of the program where we're going to plant onions underneath or here through our weed barrier, which is in the description below. It's a 4-foot wide by 100-foot roll from Amazon. Again, not organic, but to have all of these beds and have to weed them and all that, just this is a decision we are making. Now, there are several, okay, so underneath here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 irrigation drip lines running that way. So I am going to, how am I going to do? I'm going to cut on the right side and the left side about a 1-inch gap, well, maybe 2-inch gap. and then I can plant, like here's the irrigation pipe right here, or line right here, and I can move it however I need it. But I'll put it right here and split it. So I have one here, and that water is going to percolate down and feed the roots, so I can get two rows around each line. I'm just going to use a pair of scissors. I know you can use a blowtorch and burn a hole, but also I've got irrigation here, and I don't want to burn that. It's just a lot easier to do it with a pair of scissors and leaving about 3 or 4 inches at this end so it doesn't, so I don't have pieces. So there is some connectivity to the whole deal. Okay, so what I'm going to, now this may seem wasteful, but this bed I can, in the fall, I can pull this up after harvesting the onions, and then I can use this again in the same configuration next year and plant beans or beets or whatever in this bed. So what I'm going to do and what I've done here is underneath this piece here is the irrigation. I take, it's about a 12-inch wide flat shovel, and I come in here and I'm going to plant leeks and onions. So I'm just going to work it in 3 or 4 inches and then pry it back. And just create a cavity in which I can slide the leeks and onions in. A piece of farm equipment a planter would open the row up, or the soil up, in order to plant, and the press wheels would come in behind it and push it back over the seed. There's vegetation there, that's just the way it's going to be. This will also help, prior to turning on the irrigation system, to get some water down in there. And we'll go from there, right, wrong, or indifferent. Okay, so I have got, it's not prettiest, but it will function better than just being open, I think. So I've taken the shovel and I cut that trench. So I'm going to start with some leeks grown and started in the Root Maker grow bag. Just take your hand in here, grab a handful. Alright, so I was going to fall off of them, that's fine. So I want to plant these about every 4 inches. Make a hole with your finger, plop it in, pinch it over. It doesn't have to be deep, like you don't have to have a dibber, because we eat the whole plant. We don't eat just the bleached portion or the white portion at the bottom. A lot of places in the world and the United States, oh, you only can eat the bottom portion. You can eat the whole thing. The whole thing tastes like a leek. So no need to waste it. So I'm just going to go down, and I've loosened the soil with the shovel, bring it back a little bit, plant it, drop it in, and just keep moving until I'm going to do these 2 rows of leeks and then 1, 2, 3 rows of onions. And the onions are the same thing. The problem that many people face when planting onions is they're planting the wrong variety. They're planting a short day and a long day, or a long day and a short day, or you have to look up and make sure you get the right type of onion for your geographical area. Northern portions of the United States, long day. Central portions, neutral day. And southern portions, short day. Amount of light that the onion receives during the peak growing period. So that's why you may not be getting bulbs on your onions. Also, proper nutrient, proper fertilizer and soil health can also be a contributing factor. So I'm going to get all these planted, onions and leeks, and show you what I got when I get done. Okay, so I've got 2 rows of leeks planted, and 1, 2, 3 rows of yellow and white onions planted. And I watered it in. Should get some rain. I'm not going to turn the irrigation system on quite yet because a lot of the beds are not planted. So that will do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Got the onions planted, the potatoes planted, broccoli, cauliflower. Got the 1 bed completed. A little bit at a time. It's still a little too cold at night to plant the warmer weather crops. So I got the irrigation system hooked up here, and that's the way it's going to be. So thanks for joining me. If you like this kind of thing, be sure to subscribe, comment. Let me know where you're gardening at this year, where, state is fine, zone is fine. If you want to give me more, that's as well. I'm Joey Baird. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.